Hey guys, welcome back to our D&E channel.
I'm Doris.
And I'm Eldy. And in today's video, as you guys can see, I'll be interviewing Doris. And we'll be talking about something it's a really hot topic that not a lot of parents feel comfortable talking about, in other words.
Or a lot of people don't know what it is or don't want to ask questions about it.
So if you want to see our full interview, stay tuned and keep on watching.
So as some of you may know, I have two beautiful daughters. And my oldest, her name is Ivany. She is 5 years old, turning 6 in June, and she is autistic. So today, LD will be interviewing me about autism, giving you a little bit more background on what it is and my journey so far with a child who is autistic, because the struggle has been real with her. I love her to death, love her to pieces, and as many of you that do know her, you all love her as well because she's easy to love. So I hope that this interview gives you a little bit more insight and a little bit more education on an autistic child.
How much did you know about autism?
I actually knew nothing about autism. I had heard the word before, but I really didn't understand it or know what it was. I had seen like autistic children before, but you know, when you hear a kid has some kind of disorder or some kind of sickness or a disease, you picture them looking different, whereas autistic children look normal. They don't have anything wrong with them. They look the same. So I had no idea what it was.
How old was Ivany when you found out she had autism?
So I want to say Ivany was between 2.5 to 3, which is common. Most of the time they are diagnosed at 2 to 3 years old, as early as 18 months.
Did you ever feel something was wrong with her in the sense that she wasn't behaving like other kids?
I felt like yes and no, because I feel like anytime I would bring it up to people and say like, hey, you know, how old was your kid when they sat up or when they said their first word or anything like that, they'd always be like, oh, well, they were this age, but just remember every kid is different. Don't compare to other children. So it would kind of like calm me down and be like, okay, then they're right. But deep down inside, it was always in the back of my mind. You know, as a parent, you have the intuition inside of you where you just know. Of course, I wanted to be in denial about it because I want her to just be a normal, healthy kid. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
Did anyone ever talk to you or tell you if they thought or if you should have Ivany checked out or screened for autism specifically, or just screened in general?
Yes. So the very first person that ever told me that was my brother. He came down from, he was living in Arizona at the time, came to visit, and he met Ivany, and, you know, I think she was maybe, I want to say she was like 2 at the time. I'm not quite sure. But he saw her and like kind of looked at the way she was being and was asking me like, hey, you know, does she do this? Does she say this? You know, and I was just like, no, you know, she doesn't. I don't know why. She doesn't want to do certain things. And then he was like, have you ever gotten her checked? Like maybe she's autistic. And that was like the first time I heard it, and I was just like, no. And I kind of brushed him off because obviously like every parent, you say something about your kid, you're gonna kind of get like, oh, defensive. And so I was just like, no, she's not. She's fine. And like just brushed him off. He was just like, okay, I'm just saying, like, it's okay if she is. And I'm like, I know, but I'm pretty sure she's fine. I was in denial. I was like, no, she's gonna be fine. I don't want her to have it. Clearly that's not something you can control. So he was the first one. And then I want to say I heard it again from a friend. And that's when it kind of was like hitting me like, okay, you know, 2 people have already said this to me. I need to go get her checked. Like I need to see why is she so delayed, and why isn't she talking, and she walked late, she sat up late, like everything was signs of autism. But once again, if you don't know what it is, you're gonna think it's something else. You're gonna think something else is wrong. So yeah.
How did you feel or react when you found out she has autism?
I feel like leading up to it, it was always in the back of my mind that something wasn't right. So I was kind of prepared for it. It wasn't just like a shock. Obviously, I was sad about it because now I'm thinking in the long run, something's always going to be a struggle with her. I'm always going to have to help her out. She'll probably never be able to do certain things. But, you know, I'm living with it. I'm okay with it. I accept it. There's not much I can do to change that.
How has her diagnosis changed your life or lifestyle in general?
It's changed a lot. She requires a lot of attention and a lot of help. Um, so she's nonverbal. Well, she's verbal in a way where she knows how to say a few things, like she can ask for certain stuff, but she doesn't know how to communicate. So as if you ask her, hey, Ivany, how are you doing? She won't know how to answer that. She doesn't know what that means. So that's always going to be a struggle for me because I can't basically ask her things and know what's wrong with her. If she gets sick, I don't know what it is that she has. I have to just kind of play it by ear. It's changed a lot in the ways that I have to be careful where I leave her, like to get babysat. I have to make sure people know her condition, know that she's a picky eater, know of sensory issues, because that's all comes with being autistic. Even when I take her out in public, sometimes people react kind of negative towards her because she'll start yelling or like flapping her hands, because that's something that they do. And what can you do? You just gotta, like, people should just know, like, hey, not every kid is the same. But it's hard to get used to just brushing it off, because it kind of hurts, like when people stare at your kid like they're weird or they're not all there, or they think it's just like a crazy person, and it's just kind of like, well, they're just a kid. So it's something that I have had to adjust to, even with family, because I feel like a lot of people aren't educated on autism, or with friends, they're not educated on it, and so they don't think about how it affects the parent of how you're treating their kid, or how you're talking to their kid, because they don't really understand what you're saying to them. So it's like, why don't you ask the parent instead of just going about things like that?
How does she communicate with you?
So at school, they have taught her how to say, like, I want, may I have, I would like, and then she'll fill in the blank of what she wants. So she used to just come and grab our hand and take us to what she wanted, because she kind of knew where everything was. But now she has learned most of the stuff that she likes to eat. She only drinks water, so she knows water. Some stuff she says, I know what it is, but if somebody else hears it, they won't really understand it. So her communication's gotten very well in that aspect, where she knows what to ask for and what she wants.
How do you explain autism to other kids or children? You said that you had friends and sometimes they don't know what to tell their kids. How do you explain it to other kids or children?
That's hard, because even, like, I didn't know what it was. A lot of people don't know what it is. So for me to try and explain something that nobody has an idea of exactly what it is very hard. And I feel like explaining it, you don't really get it out there to know exactly what it is. So, like, to tell a kid, hey, she doesn't know what sharing is, you kind of have to let her have it. Certain people don't understand that, and they'll just be like, oh, you have to share. Okay, but you're basically telling her something she doesn't have no idea what it is. So you should probably stop being so ignorant about it and let it go. It's just a toy. So for my daughter, because I do have a younger daughter, I've just basically told her, like, hey, remember, yes, Ivany is older than you, but she doesn't know a lot. You know more than her. And unfortunately, it's okay to say that. Like, you don't want to, like, make her feel belittled, like, I need to feel belittled, but unfortunately, at this point, I don't know how else to tell her. I can't just say, hey, she's autistic, this is what's wrong, she has social skills problems, she's, things like that. She won't understand that, so I have to kind of give it to her in a way where, hey, you know better, Ivany can't talk, you can. Ivany doesn't know how to do certain things, you know how to do. Ivany doesn't know how to share, you do know how to share. So let her have it, eventually she'll drop it, and you can have it back. It's hard, especially because I feel like parents might think of it as like, oh, well, you're spoiling your child, you're teaching her to be a certain way, when, well, that's not the case, that's not what I want to do, and we are trying to teach Ivany to share, but she doesn't get it yet. So with time, I hope that she will.
How do you think she feels around other children?
She gets stressed out. Autistic children have social skill like problems and anxiety. When there's a lot of kids, it can get loud. They don't like certain sounds. They don't like certain atmospheres. So with a lot of kids being around, yelling and around her, she gets anxious, where she likes things a certain way. So if she has certain toys that she has set up somehow, like lined them up a certain way, she's kind of always glancing like, this kid is next to me. She gets anxious because she thinks he's going to come and take this one toy. It's going to mess everything up. And then she'll have a tantrum, like a full-blown tantrum, because they like things a certain way. And so when you interrupt that, it's like a trigger. So anytime there is a lot of kids around, I kind of got to keep my eye on her, or I just prefer to kind of take her away from the situation before she stresses herself too much. Sometimes she'll leave on her own. She kind of will start like yelling and getting her tantrum going and take her stuff and go into a different room. And that's just kind of when I know, like, you know, that was too much. It's stressful for her. Other times she can literally be there and play with them. It's hit or miss. But most of the time I feel that she does not like to be around other kids.
What has this taught you?
One thing I don't have is patience. So it has taught me that I need to be a lot more patient with her. It's taught me that it's important to learn how to communicate in different ways. So I kind of wish I would have learned sign language in high school, because I do know that was a class that I could have taken, which you took yourself. And it's something that I wish I would have picked up along the way, because I know there's a little bit of certain things that you do with kids, even when you don't know full-on sign language, that you can teach them when they're babies. Like, there was one that was like more or all done, signs for that they were trying to teach Ivany, but she didn't really catch on to it. So I kind of wish I would have picked that up more. So it's kind of just taught me to be prepared for that kind of thing. It's also taught me to be a lot more understanding for other people's kids, whether they're bratty or Down syndrome or autistic or ADHD, anything like that. It's taught me that, you know what, I have a kid of my own that has her own issues, so I need to be more accepting and don't judge. So it's taught me to be less judgmental too.
Last question. Describe Ivany for us.
Ivany is such a sweetheart. So she is very, very, very kind, I feel, even though she doesn't. People say kids with autism don't know how to show emotion well, like when it comes to love, or they don't give you eye contact, which in my case I have found that that's false. Ivany loves looking at me straight in the face, so she grabs my face like this and she just stares at me, and she moves my face around and just moves it, and she wants to just look at everything, every detail of me. She also likes kisses and hugs. She loves to cuddle. She likes affection. She likes me to massage her feet. She likes to play with my hair. So that's all something that I was always scared of. I'm like, oh God, she's not gonna know like what it is to like have that connection with me, with showing love, but she does. And she is a very, very caring, like lovable child. And she's just such a light. She's really happy. She's really to herself, and she's really, really independent, which she's been since she was a baby. She's been very independent her whole life up to now. And I love her. She's very smart. She learns pretty quick. So there's a lot of things that she's just picked up that I'm like, oh, I didn't know you did that. So, yeah.
And just to end this, any words of encouragement for other parents out there, friends, just anyone in general?
I honestly think that you should always look at the milestones that your child should be hitting, and if you have that gut feeling inside of you where you think something's not right, I would just ask your doctor, because if I would have asked my doctor sooner when I did have my doubts, I could have gotten her help quicker, where I don't think she'd be as delayed as she is now. She's caught up to what she needs to be, but I feel like not knowing was kind of my problem. Like, I've struggled with not knowing what it was, not knowing what to look for. I would recommend people to read up on it, because autism, I feel like, is growing. There's a lot more autistic children for some reason, and they don't really know what causes it. It's something that it's not really talked about. So I suggest to educate yourself on it, because even now sometimes I will tell people, oh, well, she's autistic. They kind of look at me like, I don't know what that is. And it's good to know. So my advice is, if you do have an autistic child, don't give up on them. Put them in classes, get her an IEP going, and just work really hard and be patient with them. I lose my patience sometimes too. I just have to remove myself from the situation, remove myself from the room, give her own time, I get my own time. We can recollect. And honestly, that's the best thing you can do. Sometimes you just gotta let them throw their tantrum, and don't care what other people have to say. If you're out in public and your child throws a tantrum and people are staring at you, let them stare, because you know what? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Stay strong.